One apartment, one bedroom. 3 cities. New York, 4,100. Hamilton, 4,500. Lagos, 116. Same 4 walls. 3 radically different receipts. Tonight, we find out why. Richer city, higher rent. That is the story everyone tells. It is the story your landlord repeats. It almost makes sense. Wrong. Measure these receipts differently and the order flips. The city you are guessing is not the one that wins. Read them again. 3 receipts on the desk, 3 confessions waiting. One of them is already lying. Start with the cheap one? No. Start where the wound is freshest. A 1-bedroom walk-up in Bushwick, $4,100 a month. The listing looks honest. The listing is not honest. Before the renter unpacks a single box, $15,000 is already gone. Break it down. First month, $4,100. Last month, $4,100. Security deposit, $4,100, then the broker fee. 15% of annual rent, roughly $7,400. Wired to a stranger who opened a door. For what exactly? The broker does not work for you. The broker works for the landlord. You pay them anyway. Then comes the math at the door. Landlords demand 40 times monthly rent in annual income. That is $164,000 a year. Not to buy, to rent. Median household income in New York is $76,000. In Lagos, the same apartment costs a teacher her month. Why does the city let this happen? Look at the vacancy rate. Barely above 1% citywide. There are no empty apartments. There is no leverage. The landlord names the number. The tenant signs or leaves. The tenant signs. Now count the creditors on that same lease. The city, collecting property tax. The landlord, taking mortgage and profit. The broker, pocketing a hidden surcharge. 3 creditors. 1 tenant, 1 signature. Close the New York file, $4,100 a month. $15,000 down, 3 creditors paid. Now open the next receipt. Monthly rent on a 1-bedroom. Less than what a New Yorker pays for a subway pass. $116. Not a night in a hotel. Not a week in a hostel. A full month on a 1-bedroom apartment. Less than a monthly Metro card in New York. Which city confesses to this number? The answer rewrites everything. Hold that number. It is the floor of this entire investigation. Lagos, Nigeria. 22 million people, the economic engine of a country of 220 million. Adeyes runs a logistics firm out of Victoria Island. 12 employees, profitable, and a 1-bedroom rents for $116. Lagos is not cheap. The math is cheap. Because the math happens in a currency that collapsed. 2020, the Naira traded at 360 to the dollar. Today, over 1,600. The walls did not move. The numbers did. The rent did not fall. The currency collapsed beneath it. In Naira, a Lagos landlord charges roughly the same as 5 years ago. In dollars, that rent lost nearly 3/4 of its weight. Lagos did not become cheap. The world's ledger moved. And it left the apartment sitting on a different price tag. But who pays for that shift? The answer isn't on the currency exchange. It's in a local classroom. Ngozi teaches secondary school in Ikeja. She earns Naira. Her landlord now prices in dollars. Her salary buys what it bought a decade ago. Her rent costs what a decade of her labor costs. Dollar earners see a bargain. Locals see eviction notices. The gap between those two ledgers is her rent. Per square meter, Lagos, about $3. Manhattan, over 100. Same paint, same concrete, same gravity. One confession weighs 35 times more than the other. Here is the paradox on the receipt. Lagos holds roughly $97 billion in private wealth, more millionaires than the state of Montana. And a one-bedroom rents for less than a Manhattan renter spends on coffee in a month. Wealth exists. It just does not appear on the lease. Cross the Atlantic, an island smaller than Brooklyn. 60,000 people, rent higher than Manhattan, $4,500 for the same four walls. That is not a market anomaly. That is a policy decision wearing a price tag. The receipts from this island close the case on coincidence. Hamilton, Bermuda, Marcus Holt, senior reinsurance executive, flies in every quarter. Sits in a glass office above the harbor. Moves risk across continents before lunch. Population 60,000. Smaller than a Brooklyn zip code. Monthly rent on a one-bedroom. $4,500. That is $400 more than Manhattan. On an island, with no subway, no skyline. No reason until you read the statute. 1956. The Bermuda government passes the Non-Bermudian Landholding Restriction Act. Foreigners cannot buy homes. Only the top 5% of properties by value qualify for sale to outsiders. Everyone else rents. Forever. The housing market did not grow expensive. It was legislated expensive. The scarcity is not weather, not geography, not the Atlantic. The scarcity is a sentence on a page signed in ink almost 70 years ago. Follow the money. Bermuda is the reinsurance capital of the world. Roughly 40% of global catastrophe reinsurance. Executives pulling Manhattan salaries land on the island and discover only a few hundred legal apartments exist. They bid against each other. The landlord collects the war. 3 renters, same floor plan. 1 bedroom, 1 bath. 1 kitchen. The New Yorker hands $15,000 to a broker for the privilege of a key. The Lagosian hands $116 to a landlord who will not fix the generator. The Bermudian hands $4,500 to a statute written before her parents were born. Different cities, same receipt, different wounds. Now the pattern closes. America hides rent inside a broker fee nobody voted for. Nigeria hides rent inside a currency that loses weight every morning. Bermuda hides rent inside a law that calls itself protection. 3 cities, 3 magicians, same trick. The rent is not a price. The rent is a fingerprint. Press it to the glass, and you see who owns the wall, who wrote the law, who collects the silence. Every lease is a confession in small print. 3 cities, 3 confessions. The ink is dry. The verdict reads the same in every language. The house always wins. Filing the report. New York confesses its obsession with brokers. The rent is a tax on doors that nobody else can open. Lagos admits its currency is bleeding. $116 is stable only to outsiders. Hamilton reveals the geometry of an island that cannot grow. The rent is a fingerprint. Each city touches the receipt, and each one leaves a completely different print. One case remains open. Another receipt waits on the desk. Another city, another confession. The investigation continues. Case closed.